In this video, we'll see another example about proportional relationships, word problems, tables, and graphs. In the first example, we noticed that in the proportional relationship, all the points lined up in a straight line. The graph goes through 0. From the given information, we can set up a proportion and solve for the unknown. We also can find the rate of change, which is the y over x ratio. Let's see another example. TJ runs a catering service for large parties. He needs 45 heads of lettuce to feed 100 guests. Here is a ratio of lettuce to guests. So when I set up a proportion, I want to clearly identify what is my ratio about heads of lettuce and the number of guests. I need 45 heads of lettuce to feed 100 guests. That's the given ratio. Equal. Question. How much lettuce, so we don't know, that's going to be the variable, would he need to feed a party of 140 guests? That part of information I know, 140. So from the given ratio, 45 to 100, I can set up the proportion and find out how many heads of lettuce would I need for a larger party of 140 guests. So we cross multiply. 100 times x equals, the other way across, 45 times 140. Multiply 45 times 140 equals 6,300. Divide that by 100. And my unknown will be 63. So for the question, how much lettuce would he need for a party of 140 guests? You say 63 heads of lettuce. So in the table of values, we have a few numbers. Let's see how they shape up on the coordinate plane. The lettuce will be my x-axis, or the heads of lettuce, and the number of guests will be on the y-axis. So for 9 heads of lettuce, I go up to 20. I can feed 20 people. If I have 45 heads of lettuce, I can feed 100 people. For 54, I don't know, so that's something for us to figure out in a bit. That's another unknown. X we already solved for, so for 140 guests, I would need 63 heads of lettuce. So I go 63 and just estimate, go up to 140. And if I pick up my ruler and connect the 3 dots that I have, you can see it's a straight line. So a proportional relationship is always shaping up as a straight line with the graph starting at 0. From this graph, I can look at 54 and estimate about how many guests I can feed, or I can set up a proportion using a piece of information or a ratio that is complete and one that is incomplete. So any one would do. So let's say I'll choose this 2 and solve for the unknown. So by looking at the graph, I can estimate But to find the exact number, I'm going to set up a proportion and solve for the missing value. 45 to 54 is same as 100 going to an unknown. Now let's label it y this time. To solve, we cross, multiply, and 54 going across with 100. y equals 5,400. Divide that by 45. Let's see here. 5,400 divided by 45 equals 120. So that means if I have 120 guests, I need 54 heads of lettuce. Let's see if that matches on the graph. For 54 heads of lettuce, I go up onto the line, and then across is exactly 120 guests. So to find the unknown from the chart, we can see it on the line and estimate, or pick up information from the chart where you have a given ratio and one unknown. Set up the proportion and solve. To identify the rate of change, we'll use the ratio of y values over x and make sure that every ratio is the same or equivalent. So y value from the chart, 20 over 9, should be the same as 100 over 45, should be the same as 120 over 54, should be the same as 140 over 63. Let's see, what is it? So 20 over 9 is 2.222. 100 over 45 is the same answer, 2.120. 120 over 54 is the same answer, and 140 over or divided by 63 is the, if I type it correctly, should be the same answer, 2.2. Another way to check is cross products. So I'm going to record here is 2.2 over 1 with the repetition. So 2.2 guests. So for every 2 guests, approximately, is 1 head of lettuce. Another way to check the equivalent ratios is using the cross products. So let's say 20 times 45 is 900, and that's the same as 9 times 100. Or you can use the next two and go 100 times 54 is 5,400, and 45 times 120 is 5,400. So every cross product is equal as well. So to identify the rate of change, we use y over x relationship. Every fraction is equivalent with each other, and we have the unit rate 2.2 approximately per 1. The complete table shapes up in a straight line. That's a proportional relationship. And where does the graph start? At 0. All the proportional relationships are straight lines going through 0.